Hello everybody, my name is Joshua Yale, and I hope you are as excited as I am because in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, there's a side mission titled The Flame that has Spider-Man investigate a series of fires linked to a cult led by a mysterious character. Now the exciting part is, even though we never explicitly learn their identity, all clues point to them being one of Marvel's most iconic and deadly villains. So, I'm going to run through what we learned over the course of this 4-part quest, identify the evil leader of the Flame, and speculate whether I think this will lead to DLC for Spider-Man 2, and spoilers, I think it does. Here we go.
Yuri.
So, by the end of the Flame side quest, it's all but confirmed that the leader of the Flame is none other than Cletus Kasady, who we all know is the red symbiote-wearing supervillain known as Carnage. Though he only goes by the Flame in the game, there are more than a few super obvious indicators that he is this very familiar Spider-Man bad guy. And I will note that the cult is seemingly called the Flame, and the leader is also known as the Flame, which is kind of confusing, but we're just gonna roll with it.
Who cares, right?
So, in the comics, Cletus Kasady was never the leader of a fire-obsessed cult called the Flame, but after he became Carnage, he did become the head of the cult of Null, who worshipped the symbiote god known as Null. So, being an insane leader of deranged minds is well within his skill set.
This doesn't look like an Oscorp property. What are they?
The Crimson Hour won't be long now, my embers. Can you feel it? The unworthy will. Soon enough.
In the game, The Flame is a 4-part mission which sees Spider-Man stumbling upon the Flame's cultists, crossing paths with a vengeful wraith, aka Yuri Watanabe, who you remember from the last game, who is now bent on tracking them down, and eventually uncovering the cult's master plan. The cult follows a self-styled prophet who calls himself The Flame, and their goal is to bring about the Crimson Hour, to burn away those they deem unworthy. In the 4th and final chapter, Spider-Man and Wraith must work together to stop the cultist plan where they want to burn down some buildings filled with innocent people. Their plan was to pile up explosives on a train track right next to the buildings and then have an oncoming train detonate them in an explosive crash. Now, Spidey and Yuri are able to derail the Oscorp branded train just in time, but unfortunately for Peter, stopping the train left him pinned under it. That is when the Flame leader makes his grand entrance. He's a red-headed man with horrible, bright red burn scars down his arms and hands. He's not yet Carnage, but his scarred red flesh certainly gives him a similar look. The Flame is a villain, and he does what villains do, and he taunts Spider-Man as he covers him in gasoline, preparing to kill him. And then he reveals his true plan. He wanted that Oscorp train to be derailed so he could steal the sample of the black symbiote that was on board and take it for himself. He quotes his own cult prophecy, saying,
And when the Crimson Hour rolls over this earth, it shall bring truth.
Judgment.
And carnage.
So then the Flame sets Spider-Man on fire with the lighter and escapes in a helicopter. Yuri does have a chance to stop him, but decides to save Spidey instead, showing that despite her newfound thirst for vengeance and violence as Wraith, she is ultimately still a force for good, dedicated to saving lives.
I'll let you know when I find him.
After the mission wraps up, Yuri contacts Spider-Man to say she's investigating the Flame's old aliases, Archie Abel, Walter Watchman, and Cletus Kasady. Ding ding ding, there it is. While the first 2 names are meaningless and have no connection to Marvel lore, which I know because I read the comics and I looked it up on Google and found nothing, the third one, Cletus Kasady, is of course Carnage's real name in the comics. As a reward for completing the mission, the new Save Lives suit unlocks for Peter, which has a purple design inspired by Wraith's costume. So while there has been no official announcement that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will have DLC, this side mission certainly seems to tee up a new story featuring Carnage. The main story introduced Venom, so it's only natural that his red spawn isn't far behind. Now, Carnage is such a popular villain that it would not have surprised me if he were to be the main villain of the next Spider-Man game, Spider-Man 3. Not unlike he was the big baddie in the movie Venom, Let There Be Carnage, but this side quest seems to hint that he will be the star of Spider-Man 2 DLC instead. After all, the first Spider-Man game had DLC titled The City That Never Sleeps that starred Black Cat among some other characters, and that storyline was set up by an in-game Black Cat side mission, so Insomniac may be using the same formula to tee up a Carnage expansion. Well, that is all we could divine about the Flame's villainous future, but there's still plenty more Spider-Man 2 coverage for you to check out right here on IGN.